This is a historic meeting. Never before, outside of Islamabad and here, so outside the last few months, never before has the Iranian and American leadership met at such a high level. What the president has asked us to do is turn over a new leaf, to transform our relationship with the people of Iran and to extend an outstretched hand that says to the people of Iran that if your leadership is willing to give up being a driver of regional instability, if they are willing to give up nuclear weapons ambitions for the long term, then the United States is willing to fundamentally transform our relationship with that country. That is certainly our goal. We've already made great progress over just the last few hours, and I expect that we'll make additional progress in the hours to come. The one last comment I want to make is what today really represents is the beginning of a technical negotiation that's not going to solve every disagreement, but is going to allow us to sit together as teams for the first time really in history to figure out what matters most to the respective parties, to settle those issues, to solve those issues, and get to a better tomorrow. The reason why the political leadership of the respective countries is here is because we wanted to, first of all, set up the structure for these technical negotiations, and second of all, make sure that our teams have our full support and know they can always call on us to break through any barriers. We got a lot of work to do. We're excited to do it.
好，再来关心的是美伊话题。本来说19号要在瑞士来签和平协议的，结果出现变数。现在呢，双方进行了核谈判，是由这个卡达以及巴基斯坦来居中协调。但传出说，川普呢因为持续呛虾，现在让伊朗很不高兴，而伊朗也很坚持，必须要约束以色列对黎巴嫩真主党的打击行动，否则呢，双方就没有办法继续谈下去。甚至传出了谈到一半，伊朗居然离席。
伊朗因为不满以色列持续攻击黎巴嫩，再度片面宣布封锁荷姆兹海峡。不过，美伊双方仍然依照计划，21号在瑞士展开史上首次面对面的正式和平技术层级谈判。不过，传出双方在首轮会谈进行约80分钟后就结束，而且伊朗代表团离席，抗议美国总统川普的威胁言论。
موضوع لبنان بیش از همه مورد تاکید قرار گرفت و طبیعتاً اگر در خصوص لبنان که یکی از جبهه‌های اصلی است که باید خاتمه جنگ در اون اعلام بشود این اتفاق نیفتد حتما موضوعات بعدی مورد مذاکره قرار نخواهد گرفت.
由于就在谈判开始之际，川普在社群平台发文警告伊朗，若不阻止黎巴嫩再度制造麻烦，美方将再次对伊朗发动军事行动。同时也威胁伊朗，如果双方未能达成协议，美方可能开始对荷姆兹海峡收取通行费。而传出就是这样的威胁，让和谈出现变数。消息人士指出，黎巴嫩的冲突俨然已经成为谈判的主要障碍。那目前真主党已经喊话，强烈拒绝以色列在黎巴嫩南部设立任何的安全区，并且强调以色列军队必须完全撤离。但以色列总理纳坦雅胡也誓言要长期驻军，呈现谁也不让谁的僵局。而美国这边是由副总统范斯出席和平谈判，一直以来他对中东战争的态度就是比较温和柔软，所以到了会场后，他也透过媒体喊话，表示递出橄榄枝，要与伊朗翻开新的一页，全力淡化以黎冲突。不过如今传出伊朗代表团离席，美伊还谈不谈得下去？全球持续关注。
Humongous challenges, but this will have global peace. And I must, at this point in time, with the fullest sincerity at my domain, thank President Donald Trump for his visionary and very dynamic leadership, which has resulted in this meeting here today in beautiful city of Bergenstock. And I think here we are going to have wonderful discussions which will lead to hopefully very productive results in times to come. I'd like to thank Vice President Jerry Vance for his very able leadership, leading United States team, and my very dear brother, Prime Minister of Qatar. He's like a very real and dear brother. And of course, Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir, his outstanding role, very consistent, and he showed huge amount of perseverance and patience. And I think together, all these efforts have culminated here in this wonderful Schönes Bergen. And it's really very wonderful to be here. And hopefully when we go back to our homes, we'll have some wonderful paper in our hand which will both promote peace, progress, and prosperity around the globe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vice President, would like to say a few words?
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Wonderful.
Well, I'll say just a few words here. And first of all, I have some notes of appreciation. First of all, I want to thank the President of the United States, who sends his best to all the great leaders assembled here, because he's empowered us to find a diplomatic resolution to a host of issues that matter to the American people, but I think the world. The opening of the Strait of Hormuz, the ending of the Iranian nuclear program, all of these things have already been accomplished. The question before us now is how much more can we accomplish together? Can we turn over a new leaf? Can we change relations in the Middle East permanently? Or do we go back to doing things the old way, which is not our preference, but is certainly very much something that can happen. I have a few other notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. A dear friend of the President's, a dear friend of mine, a guy who has been, with his leadership and his very careful and skilled negotiation, has got us to this point. To his Field Marshal in Pakistan, Asim Munir. I will say that since Field Marshal Munir welcomed us with the Prime Minister in Islamabad, I have joked that I have two very, very important people in my life, an Indian and a Pakistani. The Indian is my wife, and the Pakistani is Field Marshal Munir. And I've probably talked to Field Marshal Munir more than I've talked to anybody else over the last 3 months. Would not be here without his statesmanship. He is, of course, a great military leader, but I think he's shown himself to be a great diplomat. And, of course, who's an amazing friend of the United States of America, but has been also an important part of getting us to this point. I think it's important for the American people, but people all over the world to appreciate that what's brought us to this moment is the President's leadership and the President's willingness to see a Middle East that is much different 10 years from now than it was 10 years ago. And what we're trying to accomplish here is very simple. Through diplomacy, through working together to transform the Middle East, where Iran and the Gulf have been at war with each other, or at least have had very unfriendly relations. Iran has been a driver of regional instability. Now we see a future where everybody can work together to promote peace and prosperity for everyone. What we have already seen back home in the United States is lower gas prices. We've seen the free flow of oil and gas. We've seen peace. And now we're trying to build on that to see if we can build something even better and more sustainable for the future. This is a historic meeting. Never before, outside of Islamabad and here, so outside of the last few months, never before has the Iranian and American leadership met at such a high level. What the President has asked us to do is turn over a new leaf, to transform our relationship with the people of Iran and to extend an outstretched hand that says to the people of Iran that if your leadership is willing to give up being a driver of regional instability, if they are willing to give up nuclear weapons ambitions for the long term, then the United States is willing to fundamentally transform our relationship with that country. That is certainly our goal. We've already made great progress over just the last few hours, and I expect that we'll make additional progress in the hours to come. You all.
Well, first of all, I would like to welcome you here, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Prime Minister, your leadership and Field Marshal leadership actually initiating that process. That's what brought us here today. I think that every one of you has highlighted how important is this meeting, how historic is that event, and how significant is that agreement, not only on the security of the region, but also for the security of the world and for the global economy. What we have done and what we have achieved, we wouldn't achieve it without the dedication and the hard work that was done by you, Mr. Vice President, and Mr. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Prime Minister and Field Marshal, and also on the Iranian side, Dr. Ghalibaf and Dr. Araqji. I would like to thank all of you for your leadership and determination that put us in this room, and this is not really the main celebration. Our celebration when we reach the ultimate agreement. Hopefully this is just the beginning, and I wish everyone all the best. Qatar will stay dedicated to this partnership to support these mediations until the end, until we reach a solution. We will always be a partner in bringing more peace, prosperity, and hopefully better future for our region. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sheikh. So, guys, we'll take just a couple of questions, and then we're going to have to kick out the media and get started with the hard work. Go ahead.
Thank you. Do you have a message for Prime Minister Netanyahu with regards to Israel's military operations in Lebanon?
Well, first of all, we've seen great progress over the last just couple of days in ensuring that the ceasefire holds in Lebanon. These things are always a little bit messy. If you go back to how much was happening 3 months ago and compare it to 3 weeks ago, great progress has been made. If you go back to 3 weeks ago to 3 days ago, additional progress has been made. The president has committed us to see a full regional ceasefire. We found great partners in working with the Qataris, the Pakistanis, our friends in Israel. We're all working towards regional peace. There, of course, are going to be sometimes disagreements about precisely how to get there, but I actually feel great about where we are in Lebanon. There's still some additional wood to chop, but we're going to keep on working at it. I know you had a question over here.
Are you ready to stop genocide in Lebanon? As you know, your alignment, Israel, has something like genocide in Lebanon. The main issue is stopping this.
Well, ma'am, I think that the President of the United States and the United States of America have done more to stop the conflict in Lebanon than any government anywhere in the world over the last few months, and we're going to keep on working towards it. As I think a lot of you appreciate, peace is never easy. Peace always requires a little bit of work. It always requires a little bit of give and take. But the President of the United States is committed not just to peace between the United States and Iran. The President is committed to a regional peace, which is why we're here working so hard to settle our issues. The one last comment I want to make is what today really represents is the beginning of a technical negotiation that's not going to solve every disagreement, but is going to allow us to sit together as teams for the first time really in history to figure out what matters most to the respective parties, to settle those issues, to solve those issues, and get to a better tomorrow. The reason why the political leadership of the respective countries is here is because we wanted to, first of all, set up the structure for these technical negotiations, and second of all, make sure that our teams have our full support and know they can always call on us to break through any barriers. We got a lot of work to do. We're excited to do it. Thank you all for being here.
台湾 On Air 全新开麦，
新台派上线，火力全开，
政治到国际，带你抓重点，
内幕和美角帮你大解密，
政坛秘辛看我挖掘，
世界脉动我能掌握。
6月15起，
每周1到周5
晚间8点到12点，
黄金4小时，
三立新闻台准时上线。